Imagine standing in line for hours, documents in hand, hopes sky high. You've invested your savings, your dreams, maybe even your family's future into this moment. The visa officer looks up, nods slightly, and then says the one word you never wanted to hear: denied. Now rewind. What if I told you there was one simple but deadly mistake? A single oversight that quietly destroys thousands of applications every single day. A mistake so common that 80% of all visa rejections can be traced back to it. Let's uncover what that mistake is and how to make sure you never fall into that trap. Across the world, countries are tightening borders. But visa rejection rates are more than just about security or policy. They're about paperwork, psychology, and perception. From US student visas to UK work permits and Schengen travel passes to Canadian PR applications, an overwhelming majority are rejected for reasons that applicants never even understand. Every year, millions are denied, some because of missing forms, others due to bad timing, but most due to a flaw in strategy. Here it is. The number one mistake that gets most visa applications rejected: failure to properly demonstrate intent. Whether it's the intent to return to your home country, the intent to work in a specific field, or the intent to study a particular course, the entire visa process is designed to evaluate your story. And most people don't even know they're telling the wrong one. When consular officers deny you, they're not just looking at your documents, they're reading between the lines. And if your intent isn't clearly supported by every part of your application, you're done before the interview even starts. Let's look at a real-world example. A student from India applies for a US F1 visa. On paper, everything looks fine: acceptance letter, tuition paid, bank statements. But during the interview, they fumble the answer to "Why this university?" or "What will you do after graduation?" That one misstep shows lack of clarity and therefore uncertain intent. Boom. Rejected. Thousands like this are turned away, not for lack of qualification, but for not presenting the correct story. Here's a secret few understand. Visa officers are trained to spot inconsistencies. They're not just listening, they're analyzing. Does your financial proof match your proposed course of study? Does your travel history contradict your stated purpose? They're looking for red flags, and your job is to eliminate every one of them. Even minor inconsistencies, like saying you're passionate about IT but applying to a university famous for business, can cost you everything. Many applicants think, "I submitted everything. What else could they want?" But visa success isn't about volume of documents, it's about coherence. You need to build a narrative. Every document, from your employment letter to your travel itinerary, must support your stated purpose. Think of your application as a legal argument, and every paper is a piece of evidence. If the pieces don't fit, the whole case falls apart. Another overlooked mistake? Applying for the wrong visa category. Someone wanting to attend a conference applies for a tourist visa instead of a short-term business visa. Or someone hoping to freelance applies for a work visa designed for full-time employment. This mismatch signals intent mismatch and triggers automatic denial. Always match your real intention with the correct visa category. This one decision can make or break your case. Money matters, but not just how much you have. What matters more is where it came from, how stable it is, and how well it aligns with your stated intent. Embassies routinely reject applicants with large, unexplained deposits. Sudden influxes of cash are a red flag. So are borrowed funds, or sponsors who don't have legal status themselves. If your financial profile looks suspicious, so does your purpose. Desperation leads some to fake it, phony job offers, doctored bank statements, or fake travel itineraries. But embassies use advanced data sharing networks now, from AI systems to fraud databases. Get caught once, and you're not just rejected, you're blacklisted. And here's the worst part. Even if you're not intentionally lying, poor documentation can look like fraud. Never take that risk. Clarity, honesty, and consistency always win. Most visa types require you to prove that you'll return home. That means showing ties, like a job, family, property, or business interests. This is where many young, single applicants fail. They don't think about how their situation looks from the officer's point of view. No job, no family, no assets. The officer assumes you plan to stay illegally, even if you don't. If your profile lacks strong ties, you must highlight them in other ways, through plans, future commitments, or guaranteed return obligations. This is where many lose. The battle. You get one shot, usually less than 5 minutes, to convince someone you've never met that you're worth the risk. It's not about English fluency. It's about confidence, clarity, and control. Practice your answers. Know your story. Show excitement for your plans, but also calm, logical intent. Nervousness is human, but inconsistency? That's fatal. Top immigration attorneys know that winning a visa is part legal science, part psychological warfare. They advise clients to use cover letters that explain intent clearly, prepare interview answers like a courtroom statement present. Financial documents with detailed explanations match every document with the visa's legal language. If you can't afford a lawyer, act like one. Learn how to build your case like a pro. What most people don't realize is this: a rejection today can haunt you for years. Every embassy shares data. A US denial can impact a UK or Canadian application later. It creates a record, a shadow that follows you across continents. That's why your first application should be your strongest. There's no trial run. Every attempt matters. Yes, embassies look at your Instagram, your Facebook, your TikTok. If you say you're going for a job interview but your posts show vacation plans, you're out. Online behavior must match your application. Many who were denied once learned, adapted, and succeeded. They rewrote their statement of purpose, cleaned up their finances, chose better universities, or simply presented their story with more confidence. The key? They understood what they did wrong the first time. Here's your winning checklist. Know your visa type inside and out. Build a story, one that aligns across all documents. Show strong ties to home. Even creatively prepare for the interview like it's a job you want. Never lie, ever. Consult experts or mimic their strategy. It's not luck, it's strategy. In today's immigration systems, many decisions aren't even made by humans anymore. Governments now rely on automated decision-making systems, powered by artificial intelligence, to flag high-risk applicants. These systems analyze patterns, scan through your data, and run background checks faster than any officer could. Sounds efficient, right? But here's the catch: the system has no empathy. If your profile looks too similar to previous rejected applicants, even if your case is stronger, you're automatically downgraded. These AI models look at risk matrices, historical data, and even regional rejection trends to decide if you're a red flag. One spelling mistake in a surname, mismatched dates, or inconsistent employment data can trigger automated denials, sometimes without appeal. That's why it's more important than ever to get everything right the first time, not just for the officer, but for the algorithm watching behind the scenes. What many don't realize is that immigration isn't always about individual merit. It's often about timing and politics. Countries set annual quotas, how many students, workers, or tourists they'll allow. If your application lands near the end of the cycle, even a perfect profile may get rejected simply because the slots are full. Additionally, political relations, influence approvals. If tensions rise between countries, you'll see a spike in denials. For instance, during diplomatic standoffs between the US and China, rejection rates for Chinese students soared, even at top universities. Visa decisions are not always fair, they're often strategic. And unless you understand the bigger picture, you may fall victim to invisible forces beyond your control. Let's talk about 2 critical documents that most applicants mess up: the letter of intent, LOI, and sponsorship letters. An LOI isn't just a formality. It's your chance to speak directly to the visa officer, explain your motivations, and outline your future plans. But here's the problem. Most people copy templates off the internet, full of generic statements like, "I am very interested in studying abroad and expanding my horizons." This tells them nothing. A good LOI should be specific, authentic, and forward-looking. Talk about how your course aligns with your career. Explain why you chose that country. And most importantly, how you plan to use that education back home. Sponsorship letters, meanwhile, often fail because they're too vague. They must clearly state the relationship, the financial capacity of the sponsor, and exact terms of support. Vague terms like, "I will help my nephew if needed," won't cut it. Poorly written letters often look suspicious or forged, and they immediately tank your case. You might think your passport is just a formality, but visa officers see it as a travel resume. Incomplete entry/exit stamps, expired visas, or frequent border hopping raise red flags. If you've overstayed a visa in one country, even by a few days, it's often recorded in global databases. That tiny overstay can snowball into repeated denials down the line. Likewise, if you've visited countries that are on high-risk watch lists, your application will undergo extra scrutiny, even if your trip was innocent. Having no travel history at all, that too can hurt. Embassies view first-time travelers as high risk, especially from visa-sensitive countries. Building a positive travel history with shorter, simpler visas, like neighboring countries or e-visas, can help establish credibility before applying for more complex visas like the US, UK, or Schengen. This one's controversial, but real. While no embassy will admit it publicly, visa decisions often reflect implicit bias based on social class. Applicants from wealthier backgrounds, those who can show private schooling, multinational jobs, or Western travel experience, are statistically favored. Why? Because immigration systems are risk-averse. And the stereotype says the wealthier you are, the less likely you are to overstay or work illegally. This doesn't mean middle-class or working-class applicants don't stand a chance, but it does mean you need to present yourself with higher clarity. Your application must project stability, purpose, and assurance that you're not planning to disappear into the system. That's why it's not enough to be good. You have to be strategically presentable. Getting rejected can feel devastating, but it doesn't have to be the end. Many successful immigrants were denied multiple times before finally getting there. Approval. The key was they treated each rejection as feedback. What you need is a comeback plan. 1. Request a visa officer's notes. If possible, some countries allow this. 2. Carefully compare your original application with the embassy guidelines. 3. Improve your financials. Change your visa category if needed, and revise your purpose statement. 4. Most importantly, wait the right amount of time before reapplying. Rushing in with the same story guarantees failure. A well-planned second application, rewritten and restructured based on the first failure, can dramatically increase your chances to in a world that's increasingly interconnected. The ability to travel, study, work, or settle abroad should be a matter of opportunity, not confusion, fear, or rejection. But every year, millions are turned away, not because they don't belong, but because they weren't taught how to tell their story the right way. Now, you have the roadmap. You know the one mistake that destroys most applications. You understand the psychology, the paperwork traps, the systems behind the scenes, and the strategies used by those who succeed. So when your time comes, when you walk into that interview room or hit submit on that online form, you'll be ready, because now you know how to beat the system. Not by cheating it, but by mastering it. YouTube reference links. Top 10 reasons why visa applications get rejected. Visa interview tips. Don't make these mistakes. Immigration lawyer explains the real reasons visas are denied, how AI is affecting your visa approval. Hidden truth overcoming visa rejection, real-life success stories.